Okay, one thing I've noticed every time when I'm using this microphone, you still hear the echo sound. There is no improvement with the audio. I apologize if that is happening. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing with my microphone. It is one of those that I a little bit pricey, but I'm not quite sure. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Anyways, let's talk about these scenes right here. These scenes right here are as a result of a two-part series that I have done on this channel where I was talking or sharing about European countries that were issuing travel advisory to their citizens that are planning to go to the United States. At the time, I think it was about 2, 3 months ago, if not 4 months, I think it was 4 months ago, whether you're going there for business, leisure, or family. And now it looks like people are afraid to travel to the United States because of the stories that we've been hearing, where people have been humiliated at TSA and other ports of entries into the United States, particularly people from Europe and Australia. I read a very heartbreaking story not so long ago of a Australian woman who is married to an American soldier. So she does not want to live by herself while her husband is deployed somewhere. She would rather travel from Australia to the United States. They lived in Las Vegas when he was back home from deployment for a few weeks or months. And then when he's redeployed, that is when she goes back home to Australia. That's the long distance relationship that they have. And she's been traveling to and from the United States for a while, as I was reading. And they've been married probably, I think, for 7 years or something like that. And this is a norm for her to travel between the US and Australia to see her husband. And now, when she went to the United States about 3 months ago, she was stopped, of course, at the airport in the United States, and she was pulled aside and questioned lengthily about her traveling history between Australia and the United States, despite her explaining her story that I am married to an American citizen who was born in America, and he is a American soldier. And because of deployment, I cannot live by myself in some barracks somewhere while he is off somewhere in the world deployed. So I'd rather go home, be surrounded by people that love me, that support me, and I communicate with my husband the way we always have. The agents at the airport did not want to hear that story. So they questioned her endlessly. They did not feed her, they did not give her an opportunity to make a phone call to her husband, who was already waiting for her in Las Vegas airport. And he was just dumbfounded as to what is going on, why his wife is not going through those doors at international arrival. So she only found out when she was deported back to Australia. Of course, she and her husband were able to talk, and she vowed to him that she will never return to the United States again after the humiliation she experienced. And it turns out she was detained for about 3 days before she was deported back. The husband was confused, absolutely confused, because what confused him the most is because the Australian lady is a white lady, and he didn't think that she would experience something like that because she's not Mexican, she's not even a native Australian type of situation. So that is why he was very concerned and confused at the same time. But what you are seeing on the screen is fear of people going through the same thing as this Australian lady, whose story really did the round in many countries apart from the United States. It was shocking. I mean, I have friends who work for corporate, and they travel back and forth to the United States for meetings, conferences, etc., and so on. They all refused to meet in the United States this time around. They said, let's meet at an alternative country. And that's why Canada seems to be the favorite, Toronto being the city that everybody is comfortable going to meet at because it's quite closer to traveling back to their home countries and things like that. So all of this is as a result of yeah, whatever the decision that was made by the Trump administration. Now, few videos ago, if a video ago, I did report also about 25 African countries that were slapped with a travel ban. Now, 10 more have been slapped with a travel ban to the United States. And the United States is adamant on its reasons why it is banning now 35 African countries. That's over 64.8% of the African continent because we have 54 countries in Africa. And 64% or more than 64% of it is banned from traveling to the United States. And the United States is basically saying that travel documents not verifiable, 2, overstay their visa, 3, no compliance on those that are being asked to deport themselves or getting deported. They just flat out refuse. And so the African Union has chimed in and it has asked the United States to have a more consultative approach. And in my mind, I'm like, listen, the United States is a sovereignty and they have a right to protect their national security. If they feel like the people that are entering the United States are questionable, I think these travel bans justifiable until these African countries they put their ducks in a row and fix these issues that the United States is asking them to. So because there's been a conversation between the African Union and the White House then said, we are giving you 60 days to fix these issues that we have outlined as the reason why we are banning you from entering the United States. Some African countries decided to retaliate, as I predicted in my previous video. Countries such as Chad, DRC, I think Zambia, sooner or later it's going to be Nigeria, Egypt, Zimbabwe, and Malawi, and all these other countries where mostly Americans travel to for safari, exploration, excavation, tourism, all these things that Americans come to Africa for. And Americans may actually find themselves unable to travel to these 35 African countries. Again, I am saying fix your problems so that you would not experience a full ban as the United States has threatened. But this to me is it's a result of those travel advisories that I have shared on this channel. Europeans mostly Europeans, just crossing the pond, 6-hour flight, and this is what is happening. The Florida airport was a big shocker for me because Florida airports, especially in Orlando, they get filled up, like almost impossible to get out, and the changing of gates and stuff, it's a lot. But to see it look like a ghost town is shocking to me, but also not a surprise. So I don't know, $12.5 billion is being lost in American tourism, or American tourism is losing $12.5 billion from what is happening right now with people not traveling to the United States for vacation or traveling to the United States for that matter. And that, guys, I thought, let me bring this one to your attention. I guess it is what it is at this point. But other than that, please don't leave the video without liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And I'll see you next time with a new video. Goodbye.